I'm just going to talk you through some of the foundation principles of Pilates. They'll help you understand the movements and some of the language that we use in some of my classes. Okay, yeah, I'm going to talk you through the breath. So stand really nice and tall. You're going to place the hands on the outside of the ribcage. Fingers to the front, thumbs to the back. Drop the shoulders away from the ears, and I'm right at the bra strap where it would be for a woman. You're going to inhale through the nose, expanding the ribs to the back and sides. And you're going to exhale through a pursed lip. So try that a couple of times. Inhale, expanding the ribs, pushing the hands away. And exhale through a pursed lip. So on an inhale, your ribs roll up and out, and on an exhale, the ribs roll in and down. So we're often using inhale in an extension exercise and an exhale on a flexion exercise. The exception to the rule is when we use an exhale to get you through the hardest part of an exercise. The other thing to think about is that when you're breathing, we're breathing into the sides and back of the rib cage, which are underutilized areas. So really good to make some extra space and make some other muscles work in our body. We're often just breathing into our chest or into our stomach. So breathing into the sides and back of the rib cage, underutilized areas of the lungs too. On the exhale, you blow through, imagine you're blowing through a straw or you're blowing some candles out on a cake. It helps you to get hold of that big corset muscle, the big deep abdominal muscle. They'll help you, well, throughout everything, definitely all the exercises in Pilates. So I'm going to talk to you now about pelvic placement. So you're going to come down onto the mat. We usually start our classes with your feet hip width and your knees hip width. So make sure that you're right on top of your sit bones and you're in a nice neutral spine, which just means that you've got that lordotic curve, that curve going towards your belly at the bottom of your spine. So from here, bring your arms out in front of you, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. You're going to inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to slowly, with control, if you need to, bring your hands behind your thighs. Otherwise, with control, you're rolling all the way down onto the mat, and you already can feel where you need a little bit of help in those abdominal exercises. So from here, make sure that you start in a neutral spine. The neutral spine is where you've got a little gap between the mat and the spine, and if I were to pop a cup of tea between the two hip bones and the pubic bone, it wouldn't tip one away or the other. So we're kind of in a flat horizontal plane to the floor, and you've got that gap. So you're going to take a nice deep inhale here, neutral spine. As you exhale, you're going to lengthen the spine onto the mat, and essentially you would be tipping the tea onto your belly button. Inhale, open the gap. We're in a neutral spine as if we were standing. And as you exhale, you're going to close the gap between the mat and the spine, lengthening the spine onto the mat. This is an imprint. So inhale, open the gap, neutral. Exhale, lengthen and close the gap. We're in an imprinted spine. The reason we need an imprinted spine in some of the exercises is to give the lumbar spine extra support when we load that abdominal area up. So if you're going to bring one leg and then the other leg to tabletop, you're going to feel those abs working like crazy. We need to do that when we're in an imprinted spine. So flatten the back before you lift the legs. Hopefully, bring those feet down, toe ball, heel, toe ball, heel. Hopefully one day you can work in a neutral spine, but until you've got the strength of the abdominals, you're going to always work in an imprinted spine when your legs are off the mat. Okay, next thing to think about. So you've got your neutral, your imprint, your breathing. You're going to think about the placement of the rib cage. So in this position, when you're in a nice neutral spine, you can often let those ribs tip towards the ceiling. They flare towards the ceiling and you have no neutral alignment of the thoracic spine. So what you're doing is you're pulling your thoracic spine off the mat, when actually, which is your middle spine, you should be laying that thoracic spine on the mat. So if you use your abdominals, which hook into the bottom ribs, all the way to the pelvis, you're going to be able to control the placement of the rib cage. So engage those abs and the rib cage comes down. So you want to make sure that when you're moving your arms around, because what can happen is that if you bring your arms back behind you, the rib cage can flare towards the ceiling. You want to tuck the ribs in, use those abs, and control the placement of the ribs. So the more we do that, the more we're working our core, the happier we are. So let's have a little feel, let's see how that feels. So you're going to pop the ribs in towards the mat. Make sure the back of the ribs are in contact with the mat. Float the arms up, and you're going to reach one arm up by the ear and one by the seat. Keep those ribs down as you inhale, switch. Exhale, reach the other way. Inhale, switch. Exhale, reach. Inhale, switch. Exhale, reach. One more each way. Inhale, switch. Exhale, reach. Inhale, switch. And exhale, reach. So you can tell that those abs are really controlling the ribs, because you should be able to feel a slight diagonal pull as you reach one arm up and one arm down. So there we go. We have to think about the ribs. We have to think about the pelvic placement, so neutral and imprint. The other thing we have to think about is the shoulders. So the shoulder blades are hypermobile, which means that they move around a lot with very little bony attachment. So that they only have one bony attachment, and that's to the clavicle. So we need to build up the muscles around the shoulder blades to enable us to avoid injury. In Pilates, it's very important to make sure the placement of the shoulders is right for the exercise. So let's try and switch those kind of shoulder girdle muscles on by having a little play. So on an inhale, you're going to reach the fingertips towards the ceiling, and the shoulder blades are going to come away from each other. And on an exhale, you're going to let them come back down. So this should feel really nice, actually. Inhale, reach the fingertips up towards the ceiling, shoulder blades come away from each other. Exhale, let them sink back down to the mat. Inhale, reach. And exhale, lower. This time, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you. The rib cage will lift a little, and then you're going to exhale, release. So imagine you're squeezing the mat between the shoulder blades behind you, and exhale, release. One more like this. Inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and exhale, release. The other ways the shoulders can move, so that's protraction, the shoulder blades coming away from each other. Retraction, they're coming towards each other. From here, they can do some upward rotation, so make circles around from up by your ears, circles back by your hips, then the other way, upward rotation, downward rotation. Place the hands by the sides, and then we've got, make sure the backs of the arms are in contact with the mat, the collarbones stay open. Then we've got elevation, shrugging the shoulders towards the ears, and depression, sending them away. So we've got all these different movements that the shoulders can do with very little bony attachment. So the muscles around the shoulder blades are very, very important. Okay, we're going to go through the last of the principles, which is cervical and head placement, which just means making sure that you take care of that neck when you're moving from a supine position, so a lying position. So, in a lying position, before you crunch up anything going on, you're going to inhale, look towards the ceiling. As you exhale, you're just going to make an attractive double chin. Inhale, looking straight forward. Exhale, drop the chin towards the chest, and you're tipping the weight of the skull forward on the neck so that you don't feel so much of the strain in the neck. So this is the whole point, we're protecting the neck and shoulders. Inhale, look straight up. Exhale, drop the chin towards the chest. So if now from this position, if I had my chin tucked, I would be in a much safer situation to crunch the torso off the mat. So we're going to exhale, come all the way down. So we covered our breathing, our pelvic placement, our rib cage placement, the shoulders, and the neck and cervical placement. So yeah, that's a very short little introduction introduction to some of the basic principles of Pilates.